She, okay, just send it to her.
Okay.
I went to mayor@fulton.org, so.
We have a quorum.
We do. I think we can go ahead and get started, and, oh, it looks like she's coming in. Hi, Kelly, are you on?
She's muted.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
Nicole, are
Kelly.
you there? Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, Judge, I think we're ready to go.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order and, wow, already lost my agenda. Where is it? Too many things happened this morning. All right, the first order is roll call. We do have a quorum, so we really don't need that, do we? Workshop presentation update from, I guess that's, put you on a hot seat, Kim. Is that right?
Yeah, it does, but we have John Jackson that's going to help me out a little bit.
Okay.
So as you recall, last meeting, we talked about an opportunity for an Economic Development Administration grant for a Workforce Development Center and Entrepreneur Center. And one of the action items that you took was to request that the Economic Development Corporation form an exploratory committee to look at the possibility, do some research, come up with some recommendations regarding that grant. So that's what this agenda item is about. John Jackson has been appointed by the EDC met after our last meeting. They created that exploratory committee as requested, and John Jackson has been made chairman of that committee. So I asked him to attend today to provide y'all with an update. And then after we do, we're happy to answer any questions or receive any additional direction that you might have. John?
Thank you, Kim. Yes, what I'll try to do is to put together a committee of locals who had a vested interest and were stakeholders in the county. I've got a few outsiders, but they're also very much connected with us. And I'm going to go through a list of about 12 or 15 names totally who are actually met for the first time last Thursday for almost a 2-hour meeting at Fairfield Inn. But in no particular order, starting off with Dr. Russell Frankis, who's the Department of Director of Innovation Center at A&M Corpus Christi. He led the project with IC Squared out of University of Texas back in February, where a number of us in the community met and came up with some plans for the future relating to things like innovation and arts and basically incubator, any type of workforce development project that might fit what we'd like to have in Aransas County in the future. Was discussed, and then they put together a report and came up with this concept of a team center, which I hope all of you read about it. It's actually a acronym TEAM, the T being for technology, A being for entrepreneur, arts is the A, and makerspace. And we covered that a little bit in the last meeting, so I'm not going to try to do it again, but I want to share with you who the committee is and what we're doing so far. Of course, Russell Frankis is part of it. Kim Faust is part of it. Neil Amser, who is the CEO of the EDC, is a part of it. Mike Gear, who is the Airport Director for Aransas County Airport is on it. Rick McLester from Emergency Management is on it. Lenora Keys, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Del Mar College, who was born and raised here and went to high school here, and is very high up in very much involved in workforce development in the whole coastal Bend area. Jerry Brundrick obviously has 42 years of experience in surveying in the county and has a lot of information that can help us when it comes to site selection and things of that nature. Brandy Carl, who happens to be Jerry's daughter, is a civil engineer. She has joined our committee as well, as has John Strothman from Long-Term Recovery, James Creekmore, a local CPA, Richard Dias, who has a career in construction. We needed knowledge in that area as well. From the arts component, we've got Director Luis Perron from the Rockport Center for the Arts. Also, Keith Barrett from the Aransas County Navigation District has a good background in marine construction and that sort of thing. Steve Haynes is our local draftsman and design expert. He's going to help us with the drawings. And of course, Diane Probst and Jatine Bhakta. Recently, Barbara Gertner has asked to join that committee as well. So that committee met last week, and I think I missed Joey Potic. He was not able to be there, but he's our superintendent of schools. That committee has met, and prior to that meeting, Neil Answer and I visited a facility similar to what we had in mind in West Laco and McAllen a week or so ago, and we saw how they've done the same sort of thing there and got a lot of ideas and a better understanding of the way this thing could possibly work. So here we are. We're very much encouraged to apply for what may be up to a $6 million EDA grant for Aransas County. We're starting from square one. We have a very short time horizon. I think we're going to try to have everything we need to facilitate the grant application process to Kim by the 17th of July. So we're on an extreme fast track to gather up a lot of information to make that happen. First thing that we have to do is of course, find a site. And we've looked extensively at the Aransas County Airport as a possible site, although it has some restrictions relating to FAA approvals, which we have to go through, which can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years, I believe. But that's a really good location, being the fact that it's highest elevation in the county, already county owned, and a lot of available space out there. It would really be best if we could find an existing building that already exists that's large enough that could save money and also let us allocate resources more on some of the equipment in some of the areas besides just the building itself. I don't know if there's going to be a site like that available or not, but if one becomes available, we probably would want to shift that direction as soon as possible. We're going to be meeting with Del Mar College at the Workforce Center on the West Campus Wednesday of this week with Lenora Keys and some of her staff. She's got several deans, and they have basically a facility there that covers all the bases that we're talking about. They also manage workforce development grants across the coastal bend in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So they've got a lot of experience at doing this, and they stepped up to help us with all of the space programming needs. And that site and the space programming needs is a very beginning part of the process before we can start putting together application. There's also Gregory Portland ISD has a career and technology center being built or will be built. I think there's just a slab so far, but it's already been approved in Portland, Texas. And we're going to be looking at their plans this week to get an idea of how they did it. And we'll probably customize something in our particular area that probably focuses also on the things I mentioned, but also health sciences, marine technology, marine jobs that are out there, process technology, all sorts of things that fit the type of programs we'd like to have, not only for our current students, but also for the workforce, especially with what's going on to the south of us. So that's where we are right now. The committee is a great group of local people that have a commitment to this community. And I think we're going to be able to pull it together, but we're going to have to move pretty quick. Everyone has agreed just to give me at least 30 to 60 days of their time. And we're on a fast track, basically. And that's where we are. We're all excited about it. I think Aransas County could be very much in a position to be a leader. And the reason I say that is that Russell Frankus told us last week in a meeting that EDA has given them a grant to do a number of these across South Texas. And we're going to be the first one. Aransas County will be the first one. So we'll be the model for everybody else to follow. And it's going to give us an advantage, I think, not only from that standpoint, but also from the EDA standpoint. We're fortunate that the Art Center already has an EDA grant. So that also puts us in a pretty good position because there's a track record. I'll be glad to take any questions, though.
May I add one other before we start the questions, and just to reiterate what John's already mentioned, Lenora is a key person on the committee as well as Russell. And one of the key things that they know the lay of the land. They know what training programs are out there already so that we can better define our niche based on, we don't want to compete. We don't want to have competing target industry type of training going on. So part of what we get is kind of like a free inventory from Lenora and Russell, letting us know what's already out there so that we can evaluate what else is needed and not have too much overlap as far as our training programs in the region. So I think that's going to be very beneficial as well.
I thought of one more thing I should probably have said. The reason Rick McLester is on this committee is because one of the things that's been thought about for some time since Harvey and probably before is that the Aransas County would be great if we had a hurricane preparedness dome. So we call them FEMA domes, but basically that's something that numerous communities across the Texas coast already have. We do not, but we thought as long as we're doing this research, looking at buildings and construction, having some initial research on behalf of the county in the way of a FEMA dome probably makes a lot of sense too. And Rick Lester's going to be looking into that as well. As one of the things that I think I've heard in the past is that probably one of the best places to have a FEMA dome is at the Aransas County Airport as well. And it might make sense if we do that to make two separate facilities in the same area. So that research can be done once instead of twice. So he's on board too, although the only reason we originally went that route is because we talked about the possibility of having both multi-use in one building. Since then, we sort of talked ourselves out of that for a number of reasons, but still doesn't hurt to have the research done on behalf of the county. Wanted to mention that as well.
And that's true. Sounds like y'all done a lot of work in a short length of time. Any questions? Well, if not, we'll go to item number 2 under workshop. Update on the status consulting services agreement between Aransas County Alliance, local government corporation, and each of the sponsoring entities.
I'll take that, Judge.
Yeah.
So all of the entities have approved the agreement with the exception of Fulton. And I believe, Mayor, is that scheduled tonight or tomorrow night for consideration? Mayor Cole?
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to unmute it. I hate to admit it, I can't remember. I don't remember. Let me. Sorry, I got overwhelmed at work and yes, it is on the agenda.
Good.
Very good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I think everyone heard. So as of this agenda for Fulton, we'll have had all of the agreements approved. I do believe for the city of Rockport, there were a couple of changes that were made. That's no problem at all. Each of these agreements is an agreement directly with the local government corporation, and there can be some differences in the content of them. But I would characterize what Rockport did for changes is very consistent with everything that was contemplated, and is fine with all of the changes that were made. So we're all rowing in the same direction as it relates to that. So now that is done, at the next meeting, we will start talking about what our next step is in order to procure services for economic development. And we'll have a draft together for the next meeting to talk about what kind of services. It'll look very much like the service agreement that, it's just a pass through, but we will need to talk about process and how you want to approach that. And I'll get that document out to you before the next meeting so you can start thinking about it and how you'd like to handle that procurement.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, let's go on to consent agenda. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting? If not, I entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made, a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mayor Cole. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Regular meeting presentation, discussion, possible action on a letter of support for the Economic Development Administration grant application, the Marina project submitted by Aransas County Navigation District. Malcolm, you want to take that?
He's muted.
Just a second, I can
I
probably.
got it. Yeah, most of you've heard about it already. It actually, compared to this other EDA, it's very simplistic. This would be to build the marina, 60 slip marina, transient boater marina, for vessels up to 65 foot in length, so that we can attract some of the larger fishing tournaments. We've had some contact with POCO and other fishing tournaments who are rather excited about getting this marina built. It would also cover the onshore facilities, which would include washrooms, restrooms, etc., which would then, of course, allow us to begin the development of our 5.5 acres adjacent to the marina. I've got some, just recently procured some drawings of some preliminary designs on what the 5.5 acres might actually end up looking like. We looked at distinct possibility of a boutique hotel, approximately 100 rooms, restaurant or two, possibility of some long-term stay. He's calling them cabins, but they look like condominiums, but they would be for leasing. Also, of course, retail outlets. And when we put our heads together with this, we figured it would bring about 170 to 200 jobs to the area that are currently not here, of course. And approximately 25% of those would be management positions. We're in the midst of putting this all together. We're moving right along with it. I expect, I don't have a date, of course, when will be completed, but it looks like $4 million is what we're going to ask for. And with that $4 million and the other monies that we already have, we'll be able to complete the project. That'll be everything we possibly could need to bring it to fruition. So I would ask in the light that I think this will be a revenue generator, and something that will certainly benefit the economy of the county and the city, and maybe a new venue for people to come down and visit our fair city, that we get a letter of support from the LGC. Any questions?
Any questions for the chairman?
I might add that the Economic Development Corporation passed a resolution in support of it as well.
Yes, and I appreciate that.
Okay. Do I have any motion for an action item for this?
I'll move to approve.
Motion made. A second. I'll
Do I
second.
get to second it? Okay, it's second.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 3 for, 1 against.
No, I think it was all. I think-
She said aye.
Oh, did she?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aye.
Good. Well, thank y'all very much. I appreciate it. We'll keep y'all informed as the process continues. But like Kim there, we're moving at as fast a pace as possible to get this application in.
All right.
Judge, if I may also make a note, the same item is probably going to be on the agenda for the other project as well. So all things are equal. The EDC is probably going to be a co-applicant on the other application. So I'm not sure we really need a resolution from them other than that's what's technically required. So.
Good enough. Okay, let's go to reports and announcements from any of the directors.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
No, I'm good.
All
I
right.
don't have anything. Okay.
Sounds like, do we need to set a time for another meeting, or do I just need a motion to adjourn?
So we're on kind of a special, normally, we only meet the first Monday of the month. That would be on July 6th. John, don't mean to put you on the spot, but based on y'all's time frame, is Monday the 6th a good time for them to meet again?
Well, I think the committee's going to be doing its work, and I don't know that if we have to stop 1 hour for a Zoom meeting, that's going to make a big difference.
I think that will probably would work out okay, Judge, to go ahead and meet on your regular meeting date and get another update, which would be in time before, the decision to make application would be occurring. And we'd be further along in the process on our exploratory committee recommendations.
Right.
We'll set the 6th date, 12:30 on the 6th of July.
Good.
Got it.
All right.
And hopefully by then we're going to have a site determined as well, and that's the big question at this point.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right. And in several seconds.
Hmm.
Y'all have a good day.
You
Thank
do-
you
Okay.
too. Bye.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you.